Okay, Howard Stern. We missed this one on Friday. We could have done this story, but that's all right. It's like good leftovers. It keeps until Monday morning. Howard Stern, this is funny, but at the same time a little bit sad. Howard doesn't know that it's not 2003 anymore, and that Howard Stern isn't like the big man on campus. Yeah, that, the reach on Sirius XM isn't even what it used to be. And the Howard Stern show isn't the biggest show out there anymore.
Nobody told him?
Well, it's kind of sad to watch someone realize it in real time. Radio shock jock Howard Stern said that, quote, black players won't come over and say hello to me when he's sitting courtside at Madison Square Garden for Knicks games. Stern said that the players prefer to go over to Spike Lee and other black celebrities that he sits next to, including Chris Rock and Tracy Morgan. Howard.
They're still relevant.
Howard, they're 22-year-old black guys. You haven't been on terrestrial radio since 2005. It's been 18 years. The last time you were on terrestrial radio, those guys were 5. They weren't listening. And Howard, poor black players or poor black basketball players from the inner city didn't grow up with Sirius XM.
Yeah.
So Howard, I've got bad news. You're getting older. You're getting less relevant. It happens to everyone. No shame in it. But these guys don't know who you are. Believe it or not, people who are in their early 20s, if you say Howard Stern, don't be surprised if a lot of people in their early 20s go, who's that?
You mean the guy from American Idol?
They don't even remember him from America's Got Talent anymore.
Or America's Got Talent.
It was like 10 years ago. It was like 10 years ago. He was on, I think it was 2014. Howard was on America's Got Talent. When was Howard on America's Got Talent? 2012 through 2015. Yeah,
Holy shit, you were pretty close there.
About 10 years ago. So, yeah.
That makes me feel older now because I remember that shit.
Well, I kind of put everything in like pre-COVID and post-COVID.
Okay.
At this point. 2020
Two
like
boxes.
My dividing line. But I'm sorry. Young black guys don't know who you are, Howard. It's okay. Young black guys don't know who I am either. You come to me. I'll teach you how to deal with being irrelevant. It's totally fine. Radio shock jock Howard Stern says that black players won't come over and say hello to me. And what a weird kind of lame thing to be like, I need more black people to talk to me. Meanwhile, people are on the subway in New York going, man, I'd rather choke a guy out than talk to a black person.
Oh, Jesus.
The Knicks have been very kind to me. They put me right in the front row, Stern said during Monday's broadcast of the Howard Stern Show. His comments were reported. Oh, do we have a clip from Mediaite? That would be awesome if we could have a clip of Howard bitching and complaining about black people not saying hi to him. Oh, come on.
I mean, why won't the blacks say hello?
Come on. Nope, we don't have it. Shit. I wanted Mediaite to have I want the actual audio. I don't know why SiriusXM locks down their clips so hard.
You'd think they'd want to circulate some shit to get people to come over.
Right. Like, it's not like SiriusXM. It's not like people are beating down SiriusXM's doors to get themselves a unit, whatever you call it, get installed in their vehicles anymore. His comments were reported by Mediaite. That's when I knew I was famous, Stern said, of having a front row seat at the Garden, where a ticket can cost as much as $7,000. Listen to kind of the shallow insecurity that this guy still possesses. This goes back to what I was saying about therapy on Friday's show. This guy goes to therapy every day.
Right.
And he's been doing it for years, over a decade, 2 decades. It ain't helping.
Yeah, your therapist isn't doing anything.
Yeah, you got to stop paying that therapist, Howard. And I know he's probably part of the tribe, so you two are going to, hang in there through thick and thin. But I got to tell you, buddy, it ain't working, because these are the comments of a remarkably insecure man. If you're going, the black players won't talk to me at Madison Square Garden, and, aside from being the #1 broadcaster in the world, it was when I got a front row seat at Madison Square Garden that I really knew I was somebody. It's like all these things he needs for validation, and you notice the tank never gets filled.
Yeah, because when are you validated?
Right. If Kevin Durant comes up to you before a game and he goes, hey, Howard, how's it going? Would that make you feel better? If LeBron went, hey, Howard, how are you doing? Would that make you feel better?
Maybe.
I don't know. What's going to fill that empty void in you, Howard? You're 70 now. We've been asking this question for 30 or 40 years. When I have courtside, they put me courtside, and the black players won't come over and say hello to me, but they go over to Spike Lee. Wow, weird. Spike Lee, a guy who's made movies with black people in them, pretty much for black people for the last 30 to 35 years. They would rather go talk to him than the pelican-necked Jew. That's amazing. I can't believe that, Howard. That's remarkable to me. That would be like, hey, why is that trailer trash 33-year-old sixth-man basketball player going over to Howard Stern and not Louis Farrakhan up there? I don't understand it. No, I'll be sitting next to Tracy Morgan or Chris Rock, Stern recalled. You know, they seat you where they seat you. And a lot of times when I'm there, I'm next to Tracy Morgan, who is so funny. And he's sitting there, and like a couple of the players will come over. Yes. Because, no offense, Howard, Tracy Morgan has been more relevant than you in the last 15 years.
Especially to the black community.
Especially the black community.
Who's the blonde that they sat next to?
That's his wife. Isn't that Beth? Yeah, that's Beth.
Okay, so wait a minute. You're telling me you need validation?
Right. You got the young, hot, blonde wife. I mean, she's not as young as she was when you married her, but that's how time works. You're in your 70s. I think she's in her 50s. But
really? That's 50s? Jesus Christ.
Oh, no, she looks great. But you've got the beautiful wife, the beautiful young wife. You've got hundreds of millions of dollars in the bank. You've still got a show. They throw almost $100 million a year at you to do a show like 3 days a week that you barely put any effort into anymore.
Out of your own house.
Out of your own house. They don't even make you come into the studio. And then you sit at Nick, and then you're front row at a Knicks game, and that's not enough. Why don't the black guys come talk to me? You're the only white Jewish man in New York who utters that phrase in his own head or out loud.
And here's a good question for validation. The black players might not come up and talk to you, but the black people you're sitting next to, do they know who the fuck you are? Does Chris Rock know who Howard Stern is?
Right.
Does Tracy Morgan know who Howard Stern is? I feel like that is, some validation.
Why are we sitting here trying to comfort the 100 millionaire? Howard.
Because apparently we have it better.
Right. Howard, it's okay. Chris Rock knows who you are. Tracy Morgan knows who you are. That kid who grew up in the inner city of Chicago playing basketball with a milk crate, so what? He doesn't know who you are. You weren't on the radio when he was a kid. Oh, man.
I don't know if you know this or not, buddy, but Private Parts really isn't required watching.
And it came out in 1997. A lot of these basketball players weren't even alive then, Howard. They weren't alive. Basketball players are old at 30. All right? So the 25-year-old, guess what? He was born after Private Parts came out. I mean, they should know that, but I get ignored, Howard said. Oh, no, he goes, I mean, what am I? I grew up in a black neighborhood. You know what I mean?
No.
Oh.
I mean, I was associated with people of color. I thought I still had the good grace of their endorsement.
There's jewelers in the Diamond District right now going, Howard, you're making us look bad. You're playing into all the stereotypes. I mean, they should know that, but I get ignored, Howard said. Yes, every NBA basketball player should know that pelican-necked motherfucker over there grew up in Roosevelt, Long Island with a bunch of black people and that he was on the radio for a long time.
Yeah, I usually see people sitting, ringside or courtside at an event. And, when I see an older white gentleman sitting there, I go, yeah, he probably grew up in the inner city and worked his way to where he got now.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is what it was.
Stern told they don't know Howard didn't grow up in a they didn't know Howard grew up in a black neighborhood because they look at his wife and they go, she's not massively overweight and has 7 children. Sorry. Stern told Quivers that he thought he was being shunned because he's a white guy.
Kind of.
You think it's a racial thing? I'm sure they talked to some white people, Quivers said. No, it's not. Howard, I assure you, this is what happens when Howard gets rid of all his non-yes men, is that nobody sits there. Although Robin is kind of telling him, like, look, it's okay. But somebody should go, no, it's not a white thing, Howard. You're the only one who's thinking about this. Why don't you say hi?
Yeah, why don't you be like, hey, what's up?
I'm sorry, but LeBron James is more famous than Howard Stern right now.
I'm pretty sure most basketball players are more famous than Howard Stern.
Steph Curry is more famous than Howard Stern is.
Tim Curry's more famous than Howard Stern is.
In some circles. No, not that I saw. I want them to. I want them to talk to me, Stern said. Oh, my God.
I want the black people to like me.
I want them to come up and go, hey, Howard, fan of the show or something. I don't get that.
Because they're not, asshole.
We're watching a guy come to grips with the fact that he's not who he used to be in real time. Oh, this hurts. Stern said he has gotten some attention from both black and white referees. Well, then, yeah, because they're in their 50s. They're old. Howard, your audience is old now. It's old people.
You're old.
Howard, you're 70. Be happy that people in their 40s and 50s go, hey, Howard, good to see. Howard, I'm in my mid-30s. I'm 36 years old. And I'm like the youngest guy who knows you and was a fan of yours. So I'm sorry. Most people who play basketball are retired by the time they're my age. Holy shit.
Yeah, dude. This story is depressing me.
Can I get a shout out from some of the players, Stern said? I hope all the black players just line up and slap him in the face next game. I just get upset. I'm like, fame to me is very important. I'll admit it. I like people to recognize me. This coming from a guy who won't leave his house.
And who thought we shouldn't be leaving our houses and mingling during. Okay, so you need fame to validate you constantly, but you decided to, bail on doing your show that got you all the fame? Because, I'm not wrong, right? Like, the Howard Stern show now is not the Howard Stern show.
It's not what it was.
Yeah. So I feel like you're kind of responsible for the reason why no one knows who you are.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Oh, by the way, thank you, guys. You got up over 150. You soared past 150 likes. Keep it going. Let's go to 250 by the end of this hour, and let's try to get that goal down under 200 by the end of this hour. We haven't moved much today. 310 away from today's goal. Go ahead and chip in. Streamlabs, PayPal, Venmo, Super Chats, memberships. The Streamlabs, PayPal, and Venmo are the quickest ways to knock down today's goal and do 30 minutes of overtime, which is Gino Bisconti destroying Chad Zumach, which Johnny's going to have a lot of fun with.
Yes, I am.
Thank you to Cole for the $5 over on PayPal. Appreciate that. 305 away from knocking it out today. Thank you guys very much. Let's go on a roll. Let's get irresponsible, and let's knock that out. So Howard is upset
that no one knows who he is.
That a bunch of 20-somethings don't know who he is, and he's whining about it. Yeah, maybe they don't like me. I don't know. Stern said, Howard, they don't know who you are. Do you think that would upset him if one of his staff went, Howard, they're 23 years old. They don't know who the fuck Howard Stern is. You're not that guy anymore.
I think actually with what he just said earlier, yeah, that would piss him off.
Yeah.
That would bug him. What do you mean they don't know who I am?
You mean 23-year-olds didn't listen and really enjoy my interview with Bill Maher, a 60-year-old comedian? Oh, those pieces of shit. I mean, maybe if you look, the bad news is, and Jay Leno said this. He goes, the reason he had to quit doing the Tonight Show, he said, because I didn't want to ask Ariana Grande and Demi Lovato questions. Like, I didn't want to learn who these people were anymore. And I wasn't going to sit behind my desk and just be an old curmudgeon who didn't want to learn shit. And he goes, when you don't want to follow that shit anymore, you got to get out. Howard Stern never did that.
He said, I'll just change to an interview show.
Right. And then he wants to, like, if you want 20-somethings to be into the shit you're doing,
you got to do their stuff.
You have to talk about their stuff. Like, we talk about stuff that young people like and do. We might shit on it. We might make fun of it. But like the Mr. Beast thing.
Yeah.
That's not something a lot of 40-year-olds are watching, or 35-year-olds, or even 30-year-olds are watching. Mr. Beast is for younger people. And it's interesting. I'm still interested by that kind of shit. Like the people complaining that he's fixing deaf people's hearing. But you can't sit there and go, today, Robin, we're going to interview Ellen DeGeneres. I'm sorry, Howard, but you look at the show you do you really see black demo written all over it?
And no offense, but it seems like you interview the people you want to interview, not people that should be interviewed because of a current topic or anything like that.
Right.
So it's just kind of like your show is you hanging out, talking to people you want to talk to. Again, how much more validation do you need? You make $100 million a year hanging out, talking to people you would like to talk to.
Oh man, Hulkamasha Baby says you want them to talk to you. Use some of those millions for reparations, Howard, or do your people not like giving away money? Jay Dead says Howard is what you get when you combine the hosts of The View. Cuntron. Ooh, I like the name Cuntron. That's usable. Darb says Stuttering John is more relevant. Okay, let's not get crazy. I mean, Jesus. Yeah, to the 10,000 and under YouTube sub population, maybe, but not to the world. Vinny's mom says, I fucked around and found out Chad is a douche. Well, if we knock out today's goal, we watch Gino beat the shit out of him. So that's fun. Will Mr. Beast cure Stuttering John? Oh, that would be a funny video. T. Jefferson says Maher is like 67 now. I thought Bill Maher was like 62. How old is Bill Maher?
67. Holy shit.
You hit it right on the nuts.
That makes me feel older yet again. Damn it.